What's going on, Night Nation? Welcome to UCF Uncut. We are going to review the UCF and North Carolina A&T game, go over, player grades, positions, the whole thing. We're gonna dive into the game and really give an uncut take on what happened, what we like, and a lot of things I don't like. And that's crazy because we beat them 68-7. But there's a lot of things to look at in that game. First, as always, we must go over today's brew of the night. What do we have here today from Florida Avenue Brewery Co.? Tropical Hazy IPA. Luminescence, short for Lumi. Pretty cool can. It's got the dolphins, jellyfish. Pretty cool. This brewery is based out of Wesley Chapel, Florida. I think we've actually sampled another brew from them earlier in the podcasts. But, Hazy IPA. I'm not a big IPA person, but this was recommended to me from a relative in Seattle, Washington. And, they're pretty trendy with their craft beer picks over there. And give it a go. Let's see here. Put it in a proper mug. See how we're looking? All right, wow, look at that. Beautiful. Golden. All right, smells nice. Very, very tropical. It's pretty good. It's pretty refreshing. As always, we are going to give a ranking for this beer from 1 being the lowest, 10 being the highest. This is actually a 7% beer. So, be careful with these guys. Can't have too many of these. Let's see. It's pretty good. I don't like IPAs that much, but they're starting to grow on me. This one I can enjoy, and I usually wouldn't. I'm going to go ahead and give this here an 8.1 out of 10. I like it, and IPAs are starting to grow on me. Shocking. But, okay, let's keep this little guy over here just in case you want to look it up. And I got this at Publix, so you probably can get it anywhere. Okay, now that that's over with, let's take a look at this game. Wow. Well, here's one thing that I'm noticing with the national media and UCF fan base, particularly the, UCF insiders, the people who are supposed to have a pulse on the program. Remember, and if we recall, before this season started, about, 2-3 weeks ago, nobody had this UCF team ranked to win more than 5 games, maybe 6 games if they're lucky. I had UCF at 9-3. And I even said they could be 10-2, depending on if a game goes our way, a 50-50 game on the road. But let's just really quickly look at, the national media. I've seen projections having UCF above 7 wins now, and here we are going into week 3, and we're 2-0. But I think the biggest thing to see, and what I think everyone else is starting to see, is that this offense is going to put up points. Yes, we just played North Carolina A&T, but Scott Frost knows how to put up points, and he knows how to put up points in bunches. The offense finally did it with Taven Jackson, and we could have scored a lot more points, and I'll get into that. But the point is that when you see UCF scoring near 70 points in a Division I football game, put the word out. We're back up. We're back up. And if we can do that, we could beat anyone in the country. If we can put up 70 against the Division I, we're not on the same level. North Carolina A&T is a cupcake team for UCF. But the point is that it just shows how explosive we can be when we're clicking and everything's going right. And with that in mind and our defense stepping up, with one of the right now on paper, we're one of the best Big 12 defenses in the Big 12. Go back 2-3 weeks ago, I said I think this defense could be one of the Big 12 surprise defenses, possibly the best defense in Big 12. And so far on paper, I believe we're right there in the top. So, we allowed 10 points against Jack State, which was a better team than I originally thought. Conference USA champ previous year before. They're looking good. They're 2-0. And I'm sorry, they're 1-1 right now. 1-1, maybe 1-2. I don't know if they played week 0. But either way, they're looking better than we originally thought. And then, North Carolina A&T, we just absolutely smoked them. But let's look at, where we're looking at now. We're going to go through the offense, defense, special teams, and then we're going to take a look at the Big 12, scoreboards around the Big 12, and just a couple things that are kind of bothering me as a UCF fan that I'm seeing online. All right, let's see what we got. Well, I'm going to be a harsh critic. That's the thing. UCF Uncut. I don't have to interview these guys. I don't have to talk to these players, coaches. And even if I did, I know it's easy to say, but I would probably, you want the truth. You want the uncut truth. And that's what this channel is about. So hit that subscribe, by the way, if you're watching. We're trying to grow this thing. Appreciate it if you subscribe. So UCF quarterback. We had a couple quarterbacks get in the game. Everybody balled out. Good to see. But Taven Jackson, okay? Overall, you have to look at how he played the position. And when you look at his stats, you see he was 12 for 21 for 189 yards. He averaged 9 yards a throw, and his QBR was a 61. He threw for no touchdowns and no picks. That's not great. And I know it's crazy. We won 68-7, but throwing no touchdowns against in basically this FCS school here is not good. And I know one was close. Speedy, Dwayne, he dove for the ball, kind of came up short. Was he down? I guess he was just short of that, so that would have been a touchdown. But kind of underthrown ball. And I don't know why he's diving there, try to stay upright and run that in the end zone. Maybe he had to outstretch for it. So maybe it was a little overthrown at that point, actually, now I think about it. Either way, the ball was in place where it was great, and it should have been needed to be for him to walk in on that touchdown because he did have him beat. So point is yeah, so okay, he didn't have a touchdown. He didn't throw for over 200 yards. And I'm like, okay, all right, not too good. But when you look at his rushing, he had 3 carries for 1 yard and 2 touchdowns. So he's punching the ball in on the goal line, which is nice to see. But overall, yeah, I'm going to give him a C+ because he didn't throw any touchdowns. He didn't break over 200 yards passing against this team. And if he can't do it against this team, it's a little bit concerning because that's what you need your QB to do is actually facilitate and move the ball downfield throwing. We know we have runners, but we need to throw the ball. However, no turnovers is important. Also important to look at the context of the game. 68-7 final. So maybe we give him a pass here, but I'm giving him a C+. Let's go to the running backs. Boy, was this a flip from the week before. I was not a fan of Nixon's performance in week 1. He missed a block and let Cam Fancher get destroyed by Traquan Fagans. Almost ruined UCF season. Luckily, that was a targeting hit. But yeah, so he basically got benched after missing that block. And if you think about it, what a bounce back for Jaden Nixon. I mean, man, that kickoff return had Mike Hughes feels. Now, the difference between, and I see a lot of people comparing the kickoff return that Jaden Nixon had against North Carolina A&T versus the Mike Hughes kick return. The only thing they got in common is that they happened under Scott Frost at the bounce house. That's it. Yeah, they were kind of similar trajectories. One was in a huge game against USF with everything on the line, an undefeated season, and had everything in the fourth quarter, last possession, we needed those points, and Mike Hughes takes it to the house in the cabana for 6. Whereas Jaden Nixon beginning of the game, we're playing this FCS school. I mean, it was cool, and we haven't had one since 2017, so we definitely needed it, and it was a good jolt, and it was a good bounce back for him. So nothing to take away from the kick return, but it's good to see that he does have that ability because he was looking slow the week before, and I didn't see it. So props to the coaching staff for sticking with him, and he proved me wrong because he had a great week. So he returned a TD from the kick return and had 2 rushing TDs. He had 4 carries for 156 yards. He averaged 39 yards a carry, an 87-yard long. Fascinating. So for him, we're going to go ahead and give him an A+. He would be getting a Buckeye on his helmet if he was at Ohio State. That was a great game. Very, very impressed with him. Can't wait to see him the rest of the season. I was wrong on him last week, and I'm very happy to be wrong on that. Miles Montgomery. I don't know. Maybe we've seen it, and we just kind of know. He's kind of like, his ceiling is like capped with what he can do in a game. He had 8 carries for 35 yards, no touchdowns. He averaged 4.4 yards a carry. He had 1 catch for 32 yards. Not the kind of performance that you expect your number 1 running back to have. Maybe he's RB2 now. I don't know. I'm giving him a C-. So that's it. So overall, we got the running back grade at an A for basically Jaden Nixon. Now let's look at the receiver room real quick. Kind of back to what I was saying about the quarterback, we had 0 receiving touchdowns. Goose egg versus North Carolina A&T. If somebody told me that, they said, hey, man, UCF is not going to have 1 receiving touchdown against North Carolina A&T. If you told me that, I would probably say you're absolutely nuts. You're crazy. But it happened. So, you got to think, at the end of the day, what's going on? Is it the quarterback? Is it the receivers? Possibly O-line, possibly running back, protection? I don't know. Why are we not moving the ball down the field through there? Let's take a look at the usual suspects. We got DJ Black. They said he's like Perriman. That's what Sean Beckton, receiver coach for UCF, said. He's like Perriman. Okay. He had 3 catches for 27 yards. His average was 9 yards a catch. I know guys at the turf flag football field that can average more yards a catch than that. So what are we doing? If we can't get those numbers up against an FCS secondary that is smaller than the bag boy at Publix as far as size, I don't know. I mean, maybe we're just a run-first team now. I don't know. But I'd like to see better receivers. Stats. So our receiver 1 had 3 catches for 27 yards, no touchdowns against an FCS opponent. Not great. I'm giving DJ Black a C-. Let's go Thomas Jr., Speedy. What did he have? Dwayne Thomas, let's see. He had, now a little better. He's looking more like a receiver 1 at this point. 3 catches for 68 yards, 22.7 on average. A little better. No touchdowns. All right. Give him a C+. And that's about it. Tight ends. Keelan Fox had 1 catch for 22 yards. What happened to my guy Dylan Wade? Why was he not involved? Questions. Wade and Charles had 3 catches for 18 yards. So really nothing really explosive, nothing really downfield except for Dwayne Thomas's 1 catch for 41 yards. Could have been a touchdown. He was a little short. But besides that, really didn't take too many shots over the top, didn't connect on any. That's not normal. That's a little bit of a red flag so far when looking at this tape, looking at this box score. So overall in the receiver room, I'm going to give them a C-. They're lucky to graduate from the class for the semester. They're lucky to move on. You're lucky to get school credit for this class because for this game, if this was a class, you'd be getting a C-. Hey, C's get degrees, but They do not win national championships, and this offense, this receiving core, need to step it up in week 4. Week 3 is a bye. Okay. So overall, let's give the offense a grade. As a unit, I mean, it was 68-7. So, I'm not that rough of a grader. The QBs, okay, so QBs, I give them a C+. Running backs, I give them an A. Receiver room, C-. And shout out to the O-line. Got to include the O-line in this grade. I'm going to give the O-line a B. I'm giving the O-line a B because when you look at it, basically they allowed 1 sack and 3 tackles for a loss. 1 sack and 3 tackles for a loss. That's not too bad. They held up quite well. So I'm going to give the O-line a B. Overall offensive grade, a B. And we scored 68 points. So see what I mean by we could have been dominant. We could have ran the score up beyond belief. But we really didn't. We missed a lot. And we still scored 68. So I'd like to see a lot of things improve on the offense, starting with moving the ball down the field. And really it's concerning not to have any passing touchdowns. That's the one thing that sticks out to me the most from this box score. Very, very, very depressed about that. And it's hard to be depressed because we won 68-7. But that's something that you have to look at when you're being a neutral, realistic fan, or what we see from that box score. You see, most people just see the score, but I see a lot of areas for improvement. I know the coaching staff sees a lot of areas of improvement, and hopefully the players realize that we could have blown the doors off. We could have beat them 100-0. Look at what happened, and I'll talk about this later, but what Oregon did to Oklahoma State. I think Oregon scored 69 against Oklahoma State. We put up 68 against an FCS school. So, it's not unheard of. Okay. Now we're going to defense. We're going to look at our defense. Our defense is really starting to produce. Produce in a way, I guess that's the wrong word. They're meeting expectation that going into the year, they would be the strong unit of this team. And, through 2 weeks, they've allowed 17 points in 2 games. And if you look at that, the points they allowed, this game in particular, really, really, really frustrated me. And I'll talk about that in a second. But let's look at the D-line, okay? So here we are. We're looking at the D-line, the big fellas. Let's start with Cesar Edwards. He finally had a good game. He had 6 tackles, 3.5 tackles for a loss. We're going to go ahead and give him a B+. Great thing to see. We need him to be balling if we're going to be a really, really contending team in the Big 12 this year. So Sincere stepped up. Rodney Laura, he was a transfer, I believe, from North Carolina. He has kind of taken a lot of people by surprise coming off of injury. Now he has 6 tackles, 3 tackles for a loss, and a defensive touchdown. Wow. Welcome to the party, Rodney Laura. I'm giving him an A-. The only thing that he could have done better is maybe get a sack or something. I mean, a forced fumble or something. But yeah, great job from him. Can't wait to see him play more. This is fantastic. He's been a surprise, a pleasant surprise. Najee Kelly, 4 tackles, a sack, and 1 TFL. Not bad. C+. Could see a lot. I want to see a lot more from that. If you're starting DN, you got to get a little bit better than that. Malachi Missing Lawrence, 3 tackles, 1 sack, 1 tackle for a loss. Again, all that clock, all that play, all that hype, and here we are kind of playing a little, pretty weak opponent, and you can only get 3 tackles and a sack, 1 TFL. It's okay. I'm giving you a C, right down the middle. John Walker, man, he better step it up. I don't know what's going on. Maybe he's just waiting for a big game. But 2 tackles, 0 sacks, 0 tackles for a loss. D grade. Not good. Another surprise. I've always been high on this prospect. Isaiah Nixon, He was committed originally to UF, flipped, came to UCF. Waited, got a little playing time last year. Boom, here he is getting more playing time. He had 6 tackles and a tackle for a loss, giving him a B-. Think I want to see him play more. I'd rather have Isaiah Nixon play than missing Malachi Lawrence. I think we've seen enough. Najee Kelly, he will get it going, so we'll keep him playing. Anyway, long story short, D-line, we're giving him a B. Now, linebackers, brutal. I don't think people realize how bad our linebackers were versus this FCS school. Okay. Now, it looks like our starters from week 1 didn't even play. Lewis Carter, I don't see him at all making any tackles. He must not have played. And Kelly Lawson did not play. Also starter. So we were without 2 starting linebackers. They must be nursing some injuries, and we're getting them healthy with the bye week, and then we got UNC. So they didn't play. So who did play? Well, the one guy that I was always high on coming into the season from Colgate, Cole Kozlowski, the little bulldog. You know, he played at Yale, I believe, before. I'm sorry, Colgate. Colgate before. Yeah, and he balled out. He had 7 total tackles, 1 tackle for a loss, and a pass deflection. I'm giving him a B-. All the other linebackers were missing in action. I'm giving them a D-. I mean, these younger guys got snaps in at linebacker, and they didn't do anything. TJ Bullard, 1 tackle. Cam Moore, 1 tackle. And that's about it. So, yeah, I mean, basically Cole Kozlowski held it down by himself. Everyone else missing in action. So for linebackers, we gave up 160 yards rushing to an FCS school. Now, I get it. The game got out of hand. Did we ease up a little bit? We put in some of the 3rd and 4th stringers? Maybe. But when you allow 160 yards on the ground against an FCS school, FCS, these guys, this O-line, these running backs, you could find better walk-ons. Like I said, you could find a better squad from the turf fields at UCF than you could, for the most part, with some of their players on the special, skill players. And at the end of the day, they ran for 160 yards on this defense. And that's not good. So, I don't know. The D-line did good against the pass, but they were getting disruptive. But at the same time, the linebackers let up 160 yards rushing, which is not good. I'm giving the linebackers a C-, and you can't give up 160 yards on the ground to this team. Next, my pride and joy, the secondary. Oh, my. Unreal. 40 pass yards allowed. 40. That's it. Just 40. Lockdown. Now I get it. They had some hurt quarterbacks, but it doesn't matter. Their quarterbacks were 5 for 11 for 40 yards and a pick. So, yeah, the secondary is a scary sight. All right. Antoine Jackson, 4 tackles and a pass deflection. Played great. Give him a B. Damari Henderson, great to see it. 3 tackles. Give him a C+. Philip Dunham, 1 total tackle. Don't know if he got hurt, got tweaked, pulled him out. Didn't play much, but yeah, Philip Dunham, 1 tackle. That's strange. And then Jaden McDonald, he got a pick and a tackle. And it's good to see he kept grinding and he got that pick. Give him a B. Overall, we want our healthy secondary back for UNC. For the secondary grade, I'm giving them an A-. They absolutely locked it down. So overall, from defense, I'm giving them a B+. There's really not too much more that they could have done on the defensive side of the ball. But I'll get into kind of what's bothering me about the way that game kind of ended. Overall, though, the defense balled out. 68-7. I mean, the numbers speak for themselves. So great effort from the defense. Now, let's look at special teams. I was a little hard on special teams in week 1, no doubt about it, and rightfully so. But, we had the first kick return since Mike Hughes in 2017, and I love to see it. The new special teams coordinator is starting to pay off big time. That Jaden Nixon kick return was electric. We love to see it. Punt returns, pretty good. Kind of similar to week one. Antoine Jackson, 2 returns for 38 yards. No Rulas, the kicker. He was 2 for 2 on field goals, and his 36-yard was his long. Much better. However, he did miss an extra point. Don't love that. That can cost us games. So you only have one job. Go up there. Extra point should be automatic. So clean that up ASAP because he missed one. He went 7 for 8 on extra points. And you're like, damn, he had, excuse my language, he had 8 extra points attempts in one game. Yeah, and he missed one. So 7 for 8. Punting was good. 2 punts for 91 yards and a 45.5 yard average per punt. Much better flipping the field. That's huge. That the punter is going to be so important this year in the Big 12 when points matter. Flipping the field with that kind of punt is all the difference. Much better. Love to see it. Much better than back in the Gus Malzahn days where we have punters shanking the ball and it's such a bad kick. The ref is like, I have no idea where to spot this ball, but I know it's somewhere inside the 50, and it's not good for UCF because the field position's trash. So I don't miss those days. So this is great to see. It's a refreshing thing to see, almost as refreshing as this hazy IPA. All right. So special teams, I'm giving them an A+. There's really not too much more they could have done. The only thing is maybe the extra point, missing the extra point. That's about it. And even with that, they had 8 attempts. He missed 1, 7 for 8. That's not a huge difference to knock the grade down. So I'm giving him an A+. Okay. Forced turnovers. I said this, Alex Grinch. His defense causes turnovers. That's where he's notoriously successful, is creating turnovers. They did a good job. I said on the last pod what we need to have happen. If you look, that North Carolina A&T the week before played, I believe it was Eastern Tennessee or something like Tennessee State, something like that. And Tennessee State created 4 turnovers against North Carolina A&T. That's an FCS school, I believe. So I was like, okay, well, if they create 4, we should create 4, at least minimum. And I wanted 4 turnovers. We ended up with 3. Not bad. I mean, it was close. I wanted 2 fumbles, forced fumbles, and I wanted 2 picks. We had 2 fumble recoveries and 1 pick. So close. Overall, just forcing turnovers on the turnover margin. Before I give my final grade, UCF did not turn over the ball 1 time. So, ball protection grade for UCF is going to be an A+. That's perfect. Great thing to see. That is great. Overall, though, for forced turnovers, we wanted more than 3. We really wanted 4+. So I'm going to go ahead and give them a B- on forced turnovers. They did what they were supposed to do. Now, here is the biggest red flag with this UCF football team, and I'm shocked it's not being addressed. It is getting better, but it's still really, really bad, and it's going to cost us a game if we don't clean this up. We can't have these penalties. These penalties are killing us. We had 6 penalties for 55 yards this game. Week 1, we were brutal with penalties. Now, we're still bad. It's getting better. But 6 penalties for 55 yards, that will really, really hurt us. We didn't clean up much on the front. I'm still very upset about it. And I'm giving us a D- on the penalties. We have to be better. It's just a matter of time before it costs us. And we cannot have that. So penalties, got to get better on penalties. Time of possession. This doesn't really matter as much under a Scott Frost team as you'd think, typically. Maybe in a George O'Leary team, time of possession mattered more. But with Scott Frost, we are a fast-paced offense. I mean, call it what you want it, but when we get cooking, we can score quick. So when we, built this roster and got this D coordinator, Alex Grinch, we kind of knew, hey, man, you're going to have fast, athletic, opportunistic defensive players that can stay on the field longer because the time of possession may be not in our favor, and in this case, it wasn't. They had 36 minutes of time of possession to our 24 minutes. Not a huge factor. For me, I'll just put it as a B for time of possession, as a grade, a B. I mean, it could be better. We could go to A, but I also like the quick offense that we run. So, I don't know. I'd rather have our defense against their offense out there more than our offense against any school's defense. So it's kind of interesting, just because, we can score quick, and our defense is a scary sight. So final overview, hey, look, we had 560 overall yards, total yards. Great explosive performance. For the most part, we could have had 700 yards if we threw the ball through the air and connected. We were 5 for 11 on third down. 5 for 11, percentage needs to increase a little bit. We're close, not bad. We want to be around 50%, but not bad. On fourth down, we were 2 for 2. Love to see that. That's good. Now, here's the thing that's burning, that's bothering me. What's bothering me the most is that we had a chance to shut this team out, and we put the scrubs in and let them score. And I when I say the scrubs, they're not scrubs, but there are backup. And we shouldn't be giving up a touchdown to the third string quarterback on an FCS school at the bounce house. And look, I get it's a blowout, but you have to have that mentality that there is no way these guys are going to get in our end zone. We are going to hold this shutout. And they didn't. They allowed a touchdown, and it bothers me. And if I'm the coaching staff, we have a lot to prove. We have a chip on our shoulder. And this was a statement win. But I'm not saying keep the starters in, but I'm saying keep the second string in. And third string, you're lucky if you sniff the field on special teams. But to give up a touchdown, kind of kill the vibe, no shutout, it's annoying. I can't stand that. So I'm not a fan of that. Also, another thing that bothers me, and I think it's kind of a newer thing, I don't know if players think this is cool and it looks cool, it's like swag. It's not. If you have a mouthpiece and it's hanging from your helmet, back when I played, and I remember this, the ref would be like, yo, 31, put that mouthpiece in your mouth. Before they snap the whistle, they see the mouthpiece hanging out, put that mouthpiece in. A lot of players would cut the mouthpiece and hang it in their helmet and then clip it out and put it in. But these guys are just letting it hang and flop around while they're, lined up. It looks dumb. If you get rocked, you're going to bite your tongue. Your teeth are going to get all jacked up. It's for your own safety, and it just looks bad. So get rid of the hanging of the mouthpiece. That kills me. That just kills me. But overall, all of a sudden, people are starting to believe in this team more and more and more. And like I said in the beginning, it's all about a brand. And right now, UCF is 2-0. We're 2-0. We're in the bye week this weekend. We can relax, kick our feet back, watch these Florida teams beat up on each other. Can't believe USF's lucky little run. It's going to come to a stop. Miami's going to knock them off, I hope. So that's over with. But either way, UCF is on the uprise, and people are starting to believe in this team. And all of a sudden, when you see them put up 68, my 9-3 prediction isn't so crazy after all. And I think this is a great wake-up call to the UCF alumni who doubted this team, doubted Scott Frost, doubted Terry Mahajer, doubted the program, that, we have to have a higher expectation as a fan base, because when you do not have a higher expectation, you're okay with being mediocre. And that's the last thing UCF is. And so, our program has always had a chip on its shoulder, and I think we lost that hungry scrappiness under Gus Malzahn. And bringing Scott Frost back in is the best thing that we possibly could have done. So I'm loving the way we're starting to rally. Here we go. Oh, this team actually could be better. And it's going to keep going, because remember, I have us beating UNC. And the way Kansas State looks, yikes, they're in trouble. They're not a quality football team at this moment. They lost to Army. So, yeah, I think we might even be in store for a better season than I originally thought. So we'll see. But let's take a look at the scoreboard around the Big 12 here before we get out of here. I think there was a couple games that, are worth noting. First one, Oregon 69, Oklahoma State 3. Wow. How embarrassing. Oklahoma State, what's going on over there? That is a travesty. So I have us beating Oklahoma State at home. I did going into the season, and that looks like an absolute lock at this point. Nothing ever is, but they look horrible. They're embarrassing of the conference. Unreal. Mississippi State edged out Arizona State. Wow. Yeah, Arizona State, like I said before in previous pods, I knew they were going to regress. I knew they weren't as good as people thought they were, and they play an SEC team on the road and they lose. So, goodbye, Arizona State. I don't think they're going to even be in the top 25. Iowa State beats Iowa by a field goal. That's cool. I mean, hey, at least we have some quality team in our conference keeping it going. So Iowa State with the win. Hopefully we see them in the Big 12 championship. Baylor squeaks out a win against ranked SMU. Love to see it. Nice little bounce back game for Baylor after losing to Auburn at home. There was a good bounce back for them, but it was 48-45. So that defense got lit up. So there's a lot of opportunity against Baylor. So that's good for UCF when we go play them later in the year. Texas Tech smoked Kent State 62-14. They did what they needed to do. We'll see about Tech. Utah looking good. They won 63-9 against Cal Poly. They're continuing to truck along, and they're ranked. Kansas loses to Missouri. I don't know about that. They lost 31-42 against Missouri. Kansas, probably not as good as people think. Cincy, not good. They beat Bowling Green 34-20 in a shootout. Not good. Colorado, they seem whatever. 31-7, they beat Delaware. Nothing crazy. Ohio from the MAC, I believe. The Bobcats with Parker Navarro, ex-UCF QB, beats West Virginia 17-10. Wow. Love that. I don't love that. West Virginia is embarrassing our conference, but we play West Virginia, and that's a great sign. That's another win that we got in the pocket. So all these predictions I had look like they're coming true, and it's very exciting for UCF in general. Army beats Kansas State 24-21. This Kansas State team is bad. What a disaster. Houston beat Rice 35-9. All right, Houston's kind of doing something. They're 2-0. We'll keep an eye on them. Arizona, pretty good, 48-3. Beat Webster State. They're 2-0. Keep an eye on them. And lastly, BYU, 27-3 versus Stanford. BYU's looking a little better. I think that quarterback's limiting mistakes, Backmeyer. And, they got a good team. So maybe they will be a little tougher at the end of the year. We'll see. That's always a quality opponent. So overall, it has been a lovely heading into the bye week. UCF is back 2-0. Scott Frost hasn't lost a game in a long time at UCF. And, I'm pumped. UNC, Bill Belichick. We are going to do a podcast breaking down that whole UNC Tar Heel roster. Tar Heels. It's like, what is their icon? Like a foot? It's weird. Can't wait to whoop up on them, Bill Belichick and UNC. You saw what TCU did to them, and that was on the road. TCU was on the road. Bring them to the bounce house. It's going to be a fun time. 3:30 kickoff, noon game. 3:30 game on Fox. So no more ESPN Deportes, which is nice. No more ESPN The Ocho. No more ESPN Plus. We are on a nationally televised game. Very excited about that. We'll check in soon, Night Nation. All right, talk to you later. Charge on.